Welcome back, bitches.
Welcome back.
I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, because we're classy here.
One of us is. One of us is.
Today, we are going to be talking about, well, first, let me shout out my shirt.
Yes.
The first, but not the last, Kamala merch vote November. Oh my God, what day is it?
Honestly, well, before that, because shit's going down.
November, please say it's November 3rd. It is November 3rd. I am officially embarrassing. Here we go. But we are going to be talking about representation today.
Yes.
Bitches / ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be talking to Miss Leyla Rosario and Jessica Ransom, hosts and co-founders of The Gig, which is, it's a series, and they talk about everything behind the scenes and giving representation to people of color that are like producers, directors, everything behind the scenes, because it's not just about who you're casting, who's going to be basically on camera. It's about who's behind the camera, because the stories that are being made and who's in charge of those stories and who is basically like, you know,
literally
working
making
for
it all
it.
happen.
What was that?
Just basically who's making it all happen, giving direction to these actors that are on camera. Just being representation, like you were saying, obviously, it matters immensely. It matters in front of the camera and behind, because Alyssa, as an actress too, you're on set all day with these people, and so it really actually has an effect. Just watching the show, you just see the cast, obviously, but when you're on set, everybody involved is... It's
a boys' club.
Yep.
It's a white boys' club. And it's really sad. And luckily, we have women like these that are advocating for change and are actively working for it. They're making their own material, which is amazing. And I can't wait to see what they do next. So without further ado, enjoy.
Welcome to the pod.
Yay! I'm
so grateful
happy you both are here. I've known Leyla for like a while. Like it's so funny how we met when I was in college. The funnest music video shoot, like the best time.
And I love how we're still in contact, and we have both just like, our glow up has been so real and beautiful. So I'm happy to see you doing your thing.
Oh my God. I'm so happy to see you doing your thing, first of all, because that's why you're here is not only are you a talented producer that I know, and so is Jessica, but you have this amazing, I mean, it's a show, right? Like it's a show, The Gig series, where you guys kind of dive into everything about hiring and honoring people of color in the media. So with that being said, without giving too much away, please kind of break down the SOS moment we're talking about.
So the SOS moment is that The Gig started out of a need for more representation of BIPOC and LGBTQI individuals in production, and having that representation on a platform, and also providing educational tools, and also just being an extension of what we want to see in front and behind the lens. And that is why we started The Gig.
We basically also started, just to piggyback off that, in 2018. So Leyla and I have been doing this almost over 2 years. So The Gig is The Gig Media, which she talks about as educational. We also have original programming, original scripts and stuff that we're working on. And then we also have The Gig, which you guys have seen, which is what our logo in the background is, which includes movie reviews and interviews with POC, LGBTQ, and female talent behind the scenes and on the screen.
Mm-hmm. The mood show. I have it stuck in my head after watching that review. You have no idea, like the best.
We had so much fun making that one.
It was so funny.
So if you guys,
well, first of all, I'm really interested just to hear about like what made you want to get into producing, and how this became like a passion for you.
It's a great question. Origin story. So for myself, ever since, and Jessica and I, if we would have met when we were children, we would have been BFF friends even longer than what we are now. So for me, I want to say a highlight for me is that I just knew I wanted to be in production ever since I was at a very early age. Growing up very, with poor and born and raised in the Bronx, ways to entertain myself was script, writing poems, understanding what writing short stories, really loving the cinema. And both my parents are huge movie buffs. So just understanding that like love and that passion for it at a very early age. And then I would make my own short films. I would get my friends and my family and everybody to be in all of my kind of pieces of content. And all of them would just be like, here she goes again with another video that they want us to be in. And then when I got into high school, really it's just the turning point which is why education is so important. My high school teacher, Jackie Fuchs, I don't know where you're at in life. Thank you so much for being that just that earth angel to get me to understand what film is and how I can become a producer and get into the business. And she was a high school teacher that taught film and television and taught what the different roles were. And for me, I come from a camera background and directing background. So it was already innate for me to understand and love all aspects of production. And then it's been decades now that I've been a producer, and I really love working as a producer and working with different types of content, whether it's broadcast, whether it's film, whether it's docu-style, whether it's unscripted. But it's now more than ever, I'm excited to be where I'm at, working with Jessica on the gig. And also to the other side of me in my day-to-day is I am the global executive producer on Instagram at an advertising agency called Ogilvy, and it's based in New York City.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow. And Jessica, how did you get started in this industry?
Pretty similar. The biggest thing, when I was 3 years old, I used to walk around with a box over my head saying I wanted to be in TV, and everyone's like, "You want to be an actress? You want to be a director?" I was like, "No, I want to be in the TV," and that's all I think I knew how to say. And then as the years went on, I started interning I started interning at the local cable access, and I used to be a dancer. So I would organize my little dance shows. And I didn't really know what producing was, but that's what it was. I would get my friends together, and then we would get on stage, and then we would plan out each time, and we would do dance steps. And I did that at age 14 with these little, I know it's going to be flashback footage of me in the future, these terrible dance shows. But I'm okay with that. And then fast forward is I immediately went to film school because I already knew what I wanted to do since I was born. Also shout out what Leyla was talking about in high school. That's when I kind of learned, okay, this is a producer, this is a writer, this is a storyboard artist. My high school in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I'm from, was pretty advanced, and we had a radio and TV program, which helped me know the other roles in the industry. And then I started working in reality television. So actually that's more my background. Various shows, Teen Mom, 16 and Pregnant, HGTV stuff.
Oh my God, I have so many questions.
And then I fell into the commercial world, and I worked on the production company and now I work on the advertising aspect. So I went from reality television, and then I now am into commercial production. So that's basically been it. Like Leyla, almost 20 years in the business. We're doing the gig together now, the gig media, the gig series. And we're excited for the new opportunities and doing things like this. This is what we envision, and that's where we're going.
Yeah.
So the two of you together, what was the moment that made you both finally decide that this platform needed to exist, and what you decided to highlight? How did this come about?
I gotta take this one. I bugged Jessica. I bugged her for a year. For about a year, I was bugging her. Hey, we should do something like this. Hey, we should do it. And then it was in 2018. She was like, you know what, Leyla? We got to do something like this. And she can expand on the story. And I was like, yes, I've been waiting. I've been poking at you and saying we got to do something like this. And since then, it's just been so organic between the two of us. And we really enjoy working together, enjoying the process. And once we landed on a name, it fit. It felt right. And one night I remember I was visiting my dad's, and I was on the phone with her. I was like, we got to come up with a name. We're shooting all these names. And then when it finally stuck to us, we were like, yep. It's the gig. That's it. It's why? Because as freelancers, we've worked as freelancers, we've worked full time. And the name also too encompasses so many things. What is a gig? If you're in production, you know that if you get your next gig, that's a huge win, because that means that you are on a production for a certain amount of time. So it really just represented the long and short form of what production is for us. And then also it's such a common term that so many people in production use. So when you hear it, you associate it with who we are and what we do.
Right.
Yeah.
And why she's saying that? Basically, I remember Leyla, yes, was bugging me for a year. And when it clicked was I was on set and there was a female PA. And I put her, I just kind of tell that like she was gravitating more towards the art department. Like that, like she would walk by and like look at them. And I was like, why don't you become like an art PA? And she didn't even know that job and that role existed. And I was like, there's a problem here. There's a disconnect here. And there needs to be opportunities and people of color talking about the different roles in this industry and exposing other people of color, LGBTQ people about what is happening in production. And so that's basically when that happened, I was so sad. I'm like, she never heard of the art department. She didn't know what a prop stylist was. I mean, it was just, I was like, wow. I mean, like this is education that's needed and it's either across the board because like, getting more women into post-production. Let's even talk about that. Now, like it's still a boys club. There's still so many men involved with it.
It's so true. Like, that's what my husband does. He's in the art department and it's all guys. It's all like bros. Well, some women, but not many women of color. I actually like met a little bit, some of them the other day, and it's not a lot of women of color, and it's always interesting. And I is someone who's like in front of the camera and noticing that. And I don't know if this is more maybe of a Leyla question, but do you feel like when you were directing versus producing, like, is producing giving you more control over the projects that are coming out, and that's ultimately more important to you?
It's important to me because as a director, right, I was not getting enough directing gigs because, one, you don't have enough experience, right? That would be the first jab. But it's like, we know it's a boys club and we know that many directors out there that don't necessarily have the experience, but they have the contact. Right?
Yep, exactly.
So that was number one. And I was starting to see that at an early age. And I was just like, but I don't understand. I have the education. I have the experience. I have this. And it's like, no matter what I did, there was still something that someone's just like, yeah, but you don't have that. Or you don't have this. Or you don't have that. And then when I had the opportunity to get into professional production, not to say what I did before wasn't, but like actually have a paycheck and a title that says that. And I started to see that as a producer, it is my responsibility, and I have the hiring and hiring power, and to be in the service business to start casting and hiring people that do deserve that opportunity, and what I have not seen yet. So being in this role and being able to work together with a larger group, and of course the clients and the teams, at the end of the day, they also have a say in that. But I also, I'm where the buck stops, so to speak, where it comes to me to say, you know what, these directors need this opportunity. And part of that is important to me because I am a director and I know how difficult it is to even get in the bidding phase. Jessica knows this too, because we talk about bidding process so much, and making sure that there is more representation of that, because I am a director. I still direct. And that for me is like part of my legacy, is to make sure that, I continue to be one of many people, hopefully, that, will follow our lead, so to speak, in making sure that if you are a producer, you get to really decide who do you want to recommend and who do you want to be part of the project. Brands now more and more are getting into the woke phase of, oh shit, we got to get more people that are coming in and having these opportunities, be it women, be it LGBTQI and so forth. And that's important for me because I understand the struggle as a director. And I understand that even if you are someone that has the credentials as well. And I say this because this is recent. I had a director hit me up who has a Netflix deal, who has all these things going on, who is well respected and still looking to still have an in with commercial work. And it's, and with all the credentials that person has, still there's like, hey, but can I be considered for something? So I understand the struggle. Yeah. And it's important to have that.
It's interesting.
It keeps it in the back of my mind of being a producer. It means you have more control of how your production is ran. Also too, when you are in a higher position like Jessica and myself, you're the decision maker, and people are relying on you to be decisive, and people are relying on you to make sure that it is a success, and you are responsible for casting the behind the lens talent. So I'm happy to be in this position.
Well,
and I was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jessica.
I was going to piggyback off of one thing really quickly. I think another big problem, especially for women, is the fact that like they're really big on when let's say you're shooting a spot and they're like, well, you must have an Apple, you must have to work on this Apple commercial to do this brand. So I think that's a way of eliminating female talent, eliminating POC talent, because what's happening is that like companies want like, oh, well, you have to work on this, this, and this. But to get those positions, you have to know the right people. You have to already have a certain level of, like I say, creds already involved to even get that, to have that on your reel. So they're not really taking chance of people that have a really good eye that actually could go somewhere. They can shoot that Apple commercial if they had, were able to shadow and or if they were able to have some other opportunities. I think that, and that's why they started Free to Bid, because of this reason, because of that. So I just wanted to piggyback off saying that, like, it's about giving people opportunities. Like, you may not see the Apple commercial on their, I'm using that example, on their reel, but if they have something else that's similar, or you could tell their style fits, I think that works. Yes. And that's on the creative directors, that's on the producers as well. And then it's also on the brand. So.
Yeah, and what something you said, Leyla, reminds me too, because I'm thinking about also the fashion industry, but now when everybody brands, the pressure's on, you got to be woke, you got to have a diverse, they're all jumping on it on the front lines in terms of like, not all, but like who we have in our campaigns, who's modeling or who's on the TV show or in the front of the camera. But still one of the main issue is like, but who's behind the scenes running this brand or running this TV show? And it's all white, usually all men still. And so I think it's extremely powerful. I really am grateful for what you guys are doing, because yeah, it's important to have representation in the front, of course, but also there's a whole machine behind that, and who's making those decisions of who gets cast, who's writing the scripts for these, like, do you want white men or white women writing the script for like a black woman's role, then you're fitting into this stereotype again. And it's just the importance of having representation all throughout, behind the scenes and in front, is crucial. And I mean, that, like you said, the buck stops with you.
Yeah, it does. And it's what's interesting too, okay, there's two, I know this is not a question, but this is just a thought that I think is important to share for everyone who's going to be listening to this awesome platform, is two things. If you are a director and you know that there is a producer, especially if it's a person of color, who hired you, maintain that relationship. And I say that because relationships and networking is important. For those who I have hired, who are POCs, shame on your asses for not staying in contact, for not continuing to maintain a networking relationship. Shame on you for not doing that, because it is important to also just maintain, and I'm not saying all the time, but check in with those and for those people who have, if you are a director, if you are a producer, also you have to do the same thing. And I say that too, like those who I keep in contact with, those who I've hired, I'll check in with them. Hey, what do you got going on? What's cooking on your plate? Like, is there anything that you're working that might be different? And because sometimes too, directors get, caught up in creating that they may forget the business side of it. But definitely directors, especially if you're getting a nice check from us, I would say you want to maintain that relationship too. And not just walk away like, oh, I got my 50 grand, I'm out, or like 20 grand, and then it's the next thing. It's tacky as well. And I think in this business, you got to maintain those relationships.
Where's my tea? Yeah. Where's my tea for that answer? Right? You just got the tea right there, girl.
I know. I mean, it's real.
Because when we hire her. So it's like,
yeah.
I'm a human being as well, and I want to see you win. Yeah. Check in and see how am I doing as well professionally. I'm not, we're in the business. So.
Well, right. Jessica, I actually had a question because you're from like the reality side of it, and I just know, and you might be familiar with The Bachelor and like the fact that you only had one black female lead, and they're about to have another one. And I know, because I'm obsessed and I'm sad, but I kind of like follow how the producers and how the cast members talk about that experience of not having enough even like black producers for like the black castmates, and how I think it was like recent where they actually got black producers for the black castmates, and usually it wasn't like that. Do you know like how that is run and like the issues?
I have a lot.
Turn to sip the tea.
I was like, how do I tackle this and not?
Yeah.
And not go in.
That's a lot.
It's crazy.
I still have a lot of my reality TV show contacts and a lot of Black female producers or like Black producers, period, on that side of the business. I will say for a fact there are a ton of Black talent out there, especially Black producers behind the scenes and story producing and in the field. So there's two types. In reality, there's two types of producers. So you have the people that work in the field, which are like, when they're doing the shoots and whatnot, and then you have the story producers who are actually writing and creating the story. The sad part about it is, I will give you all the tea on reality, the Black shows only really hire the Black talent, and the white shows really only hire the white talent. So it's definitely getting better. But like, I know for a fact that a lot of my friends, where they were able to get higher titles and they're able to get some of these white positions on these white shows because they had to start on the Black shows. Because Black shows will give them like, okay, you're a PA, we're going to give you a producer role and try you out. They're willing to give, some of the PAs, the people that are working in the business, more opportunity. And I think that's like the biggest issue is that like some of the white shows, they're relegated. Like, it's like, it's like the Good Old Boys Club. She's a great PA, she stays a PA, but in, on Black shows, they're able to move up faster. And I know this for a fact, but quite a few of my friends, the reason why I'm a senior producer today is because of the fact I started on Love and Hip Hop, and then they saw I can produce on Love and Hip Hop. So now I'm working on X, Y, Z. So, I mean, and that's how reality TV works, where, people of color are not really given the same opportunities as white people. And that's just straight up.
And honestly, what you're saying, it's like it's so tied.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it parallels real life as well. And what's interesting about that to me, what you just said is, this is a whole tangent. I always end up on this tangent, but what upholds white supremacy is obviously white people. Like the individualism that it encourages among white people and the lack of community. It's just like fight for yourself, get ahead. And what you're just describing too is like the community lift each other up, support each other, feel like, oh, well, let's give you a shot at this. We'll see what you can do. Versus in the white production companies where it's just like, you're great at this. We can't lose you at this. We're just going to keep you here, keep you at the bottom. And everybody's just like, it's just a whole mentality thing that isn't good for, it's damaging to everybody.
And that's what happens. I mean, it's obviously getting better. I'm talking specifically, I could say again, like 5-6 years ago, it was more difficult, but it's obviously Black Lives Matter, things are getting better. But that's how a lot of like Black producers, and there are tons. So that's some bullshit. Like I have right now a list of Black producers. Bachelor called me, you need some Black reality producers. I have a list of them on both sides of story producing to in the field that are willing to work, ready to work, and happy, and that are excellent, and running some big shows too. So that's a crock of shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like, do you think that's like the main thing that you want to see in like the change in the industry? I mean, like, how do we really like get that needle moving when it comes to like it not being just about, oh, I have to work at the Black show or I have to work the Latina show to start, working on these, Bachelor's huge, and that's, of course, Love and Hip Hop is also pretty huge, but it's like how do we get that moving? Like, do you have individual goals for yourselves to like make sure that doesn't happen? Or is it like,
I mean, that's really, you're talking about, go ahead, Jessica.
No, go ahead, you go. Yeah.
I mean, yes, the answer is yes. We are both motivated to push for that. And that's, that falls under the gig media. The gig media is a production company, and also too with the gig series, which is why, we continue to be the representation that we just don't see. And then hopefully that will continue to expand. And everyone has their own spin. I'm starting to see during the pandemic, creativity has it has skyrocketed, and people are taking the time to like really focus on the podcast that they want to make,
TikTok,
or any kind of specific, whatever it is that they've been wanting to do. And that also has helped Jessica and I too, like really just continue to just challenge ourselves, right? Because we are full-time producers, and then we are also building our business, and we're building our platform, and building our voices, because we have worked behind the lens for so long. Even just getting in front and answering your question is like the short answer is yes. Right. And I want to pass the mic to Jessica because I know she's excited to
Oh, no. You basically said everything I would say. The answer is like, yes, our main goal is to create diversity on the screen and behind the scenes, meaning we write and create diverse content right now. We have quite a few show ideas that we're trying to pitch and get out there that are focused on diversity. I'm talking like Black lesbian leads, Latinx families. Like, we are really big on diverse across the board. Female-driven shows. That is something that's super important to us. On top of that, making sure that we hire diversity behind the scenes in all aspects. So, having a female DP to having a trans gaffer, like down to every position, every role, just committing to diversity in all aspects. And that's something that's super important. And that's when I work as a line producer, that's what I do. I make sure like my crew is always, there was like one time I hired an all-female crew. I was like, I want all women to work on this. Let's go. Like, I literally, my entire crew was all women. And then, the client was like, a guy, and I was like, there's no guys here. And I'm like, yep.
Welcome to our world.
That's it. I mean,
you're the guy.
But he was like the only guy. He was like, all right, this works. So, that's how I am. Like, we are committed, even in the roles that we have now, for diversity. That's something that's always been a passion with us. And that's what we will continue to do. Because it does. It takes from the bottom up and also from the top down. That's how you create change. You need both working at the same time to really do it.
And kind of what you guys are doing, where you have a big platform that's trying to achieve that goal that you've created, and also individually, like you're saying, in your individual roles. Leyla, I think you said you lead by example. You are the diversity that you want to see. You continue. It's like on the micro level and a macro level, you guys are tackling it from both ends.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you. I mean, and even with our brands too, someone had asked me on a recent podcast and I was like, ooh, how honest do I need to be on this? But someone had asked me, how do you educate your clients so that way they're aware of casting directors and talent that are not white males? And then, part of it is obviously, working my creative team and also too with the strategy team to make sure that we're giving facts and representation, like from a statistical level, why it's important. But then I just keep it real. I'm like, why? No.
Yeah.
The answer is like, we need to hire this Black director, and this is why. And if you don't, then you're playing yourself for not being woke and understanding why it's important to do that. So there's a bit that personal drive and that personal passion is still influences the professional side of why it's important to have that change, right? And why it's important to do that every day.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, as an actor and as, like, a Latina, like, I have struggled for most of my professional career because either I did mostly theater before I moved out here, but, like, everything has been with white directors and producers, right? So my issue has always been not being Latina enough. Or just being too white, but like not being white enough to be this person's daughter, if they really want this person as the parent, like I never look really like what they want. And it's always been really hard for me. And that's why I really appreciate women like you who are doing this, who are, shouting out like all the problems that are in this industry, which is lack of diversity, because it really fucking matters. Like Jessica said, all the way from the bottom to the top, basically, it matters to see yourself represented on screen and behind the screen. So like, I'm so thankful to have you guys here to talk about this. And thank you so much for doing the gig. I am a fan.
Thank you. Yeah. We have fun.
Yeah, we agree. We do.
We'd love to have you on our show.
Let's do it.
Yeah, for real. And
anytime. Seriously, thank you so much, Jessica and Leyla.
Thank you guys. And female partnerships for the win.
Yes.
Seriously, like to lift each other up, and it means everything. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you. This was beautiful. I look forward to having you both on our show on The Gig in the future.
Wow, I could have continued talking with both of them for another 2 hours, easily.
Yeah, I have so many questions about The Bachelor and everything with reality TV, but also just about how everything is done when it comes to hiring, bidding, and all that stuff. It's so important, and it doesn't get talked about. I feel like it does, as we said before, like in front of the camera, the actors, but not behind the scenes.
Right, because I mean it does in terms of brands now, companies, shows, whatever. They realize that on the front they need to have diversity, so they'll throw a Black, a Latina actor in, or a woman in but at the end of the day, you do have to think about who's writing the lines that these people are saying, whose story is still being told, even if it's a black face in the front or a woman in the front, who's behind all of this. And that's why I think what they had to say is extremely poignant and important. I would love a follow-up episode with them, because I know we could zoom in the focus on something specific, but they're incredibly experienced, incredibly knowledgeable. They're doing really important work. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
For the charity nonprofit for this episode, we are promoting Step Up. Step Up propels girls living in, Step Up propels girls living or going to school in under-resourced communities to fulfill their potential by empowering them to become confident, college-bound, career-focused, and ready to join the next generation of professional women. Step Up creates and implements impactful after-school and mentorship programs that are open to all girls enrolled in one of the Step Up partner high schools. Between 98 to 100% of all Step Up seniors graduated high school and were accepted into college each of the last 5 years. That's amazing. 98 to 100%. After just 1 year of Step Up after-school programs, teens are more confident and placed a higher value on getting a college degree. To learn more and donate, please visit suwn.org.
And you can follow us at the SOS Pod and follow Jessica and Leyla at The Gig Series on Instagram, and at Love Lee, Ley, and at Jessica.Ransom on Instagram. And also their website is thegigseries.co. So please give them some love, follow them, because they're going to be making their own work. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be awesome. And rate this 5 stars, please. We deserve it, I think.
I think we're doing a great job.
Yeah. Leave us a review. It helps us in the algorithm to reach more people. We love all the feedback that we get, so feel free to reach out. And we love you guys. We're on YouTube as well. SOS with Molly and Alyssa. You can see our beautiful faces in this episode and their beautiful faces. And I think that's about it. So
that's it.
Here's to turning meltdowns into magic.